So this is US dollar Japanese yen analysis for Friday the 13th of October. Well, what have we seen happen here on the 12th of October? Well, prices have sold back off from this major level of 12.52, which is currently the I'm using as the weekly pivot, over which I'll be looking to take long positions, underneath which I'll be cautiously bearish. So prices have retraced and sold back down from 12.52. We've tested on two previous occasions now, and it has held as resistance. It appears increasingly likely that we are putting in a lower high on the US dollar against Japanese yen. If we are putting in the lower high, which prices do appear to be putting in, our momentum bias would shift to the short side. So we are heading all the way back down into an area of possible support at 12.15, which is the pivot from a couple of weeks ago. We've seen on two occasions now. I was going to say about two occasions now. Prices were bought back up from that level. I suppose we could even interpret the 8 a.m. low on the 12th as possibly being another time we were bought back up from that level, as we were bought back up from 12.20, which is about 5 pips away from the level. So it's possibly 4 times we've retraced from that level. Now, what are we seeing in prices? Well, prices currently, we've come up to the 12.52. We've also got this high time for moving average, and prices continue to be sold off from there. Now, when we are bought back up on from 12.15, prices do not appear to have strong momentum to the upside. And again, 12.52 being our weekly pivot, I'm going to shift my bias slightly. I was expecting 13.56 to be tested, but the fact that prices are continuing to stall on the US dollar against the Japanese yen, the momentum follow through has not been there. We did have this pretty engulfing candle here, which was our NFP candle earlier in the month, and we have not broke its highs, which I suppose could be interpreted as being an overall bearish signal in the grand scheme of things. Even the close of the candle, we've tested it possibly twice, and we've not pretty much gone near it since, and that's up at 12. It's near 12.77. Let's use 12.77 as a reference point. So as we have the NFP candle, let's use it as a reference. We have not gone up there. There has not been enough catalysts to further support the US dollar against Japanese yen, it appears. So I'm going to shift my bias, as I've indicated, to the short side. So let's have a look at short side opportunities. Short side opportunities, we'll be looking for prices to break beneath this 12.15 level. That's been respected so far. Now, if we do break beneath it, retest of it from beneath and subsequently break down, I'll be looking at 1180. 1180 and 1160. So let's have a look at this on this time frame. Maybe 1160. Now on the higher time frames, I do have. Let's see, was it the weekly? Let's just get this on here quickly. Let's just see where we are. So there's a 200 period moving average, and yes, we've got the 200 period sitting at 1180 on the weekly time frame. That's the reason I'll be looking at 1180. The actual horizontal level is let's just see. The actual horizontal level is at 1160, but is at 1123. The actual horizontal level is at 1160. Well, we have to be aware of the 200 period moving average, and yes, we have to be aware of the 200 period moving average. We do see something there on the daily as well, but let's go back down to execution time frame. So 1180, possibly the 200 period moving average is sitting there, so we have to be aware of it as a possible area where prices may bounce. But the actual level I'm looking at is 1160. Now, if we do break down beyond 1215, we do head down towards 1160, sorry, 1160. If we do break down from 1160, 1073 is our next target. We're unlikely to get down to 1073 on today, Friday the 13th of October, but it would likely be a level to be looking at in the medium term. Now, if we do hold 1215 for a, what would you say, a fourth consecutive time it's been tested, and again, I've mentioned in previous videos, I'll mention it here again, if a level, horizontal level, or even a dynamic level is tested repeatedly over a short period of time, it usually breaks to the direction in which it is being tested. So as we are seeing 1215 being tested above, if we do get a break of it, we're likely to see a break to the downside as it's consistently being tested by the bears. So the bulls that are buying it from at 1215 may step out of the way, as they've seen that there are no other bulls stepping in the market to support higher prices. So they may just cut the losses and step out of the way, and bears grab a hold of the market and drive it down towards 1180 and 1160. If, however, we do hold 1215 for a fourth consecutive time, which to me appears a bit unlikely, but it is possible, I'll be looking for prices to retest the weekly pivot and the significant level of 1252. Test and a hold of 1252. There is quite a bit of resistance, isn't there? We'll be looking at this 200 period moving average, currently sitting at 1261, which is pretty close to 1252. A break of that, we'll be looking all the way up at, let's just say, the NFP candle, and the highs up there up at 1344. We're looking at that level, above which 1356 will come into focus. So that's pretty much sums up my analysis, especially on this time frame. 1276 might be a level. So might sum up my analysis, particularly for this time frame. I will now look at the higher time frames to get more perspective on the US dollar, Japanese yen. So what have we seen so far? This month is currently bearish. We are trading beneath 1264. I'll be using 1250 as a reference anyway. We're currently bearish. The previous month did appear to be putting in some, how do you say? The previous month was bullish. We closed close enough to the highs. I was expecting further follow through for a test of 114.30, but the follow through has not continued, and we do appear to be heading for a slow grind downwards in prices. But for that to be valid, I would have to see further retracement of the US dollar against the Japanese yen. Yes, we have to see further retracement, further retracement of the US dollar against the Japanese yen before we can really shift over to holding a bearish bias, especially on this higher time frame. Because if we look at, say, this here being the low, possibly this being a higher low, in and around here at 108, move to the upside for a possible test all the way up at 118.60 did appear likely and does appear likely, especially if we 108 as a higher low. So if I go down to the weekly time frame, videos are quite slightly longer this week. On a weekly time frame, this chart is it's pretty messy. We've had a series of lower highs in price. We did have a bit of a double top there at the 14, in around the 1430 to 115. Yeah, we did that, but again over here we've had our lows there, then we had a lower low, and we do appear to be putting in a lower high at present, because we do have a pin bar which has not been tested, and that's all the way up at the 1344 level. Currently this week we are bearish, so it does appear that we are putting in a bit of a high at the moment. We do have to be aware of the obviously the 200 period moving average sitting at 30.1180. So overall, based on this weekly time frame, you could say we are in a bit of a channel, but we are heading downwards as we are at the top of the channel. I've not drawn channel and chart, but let's have a look at daily. On the daily time frame, let's just have a look where we are over here, indicated by these red arrows to the downside. That's where we retraced from previously, up at 114.30 level. Retraced quite heavily from there. Now we've not quite got up to 114.30, but unlike when we did have the moves up to above the 114 level, we did have strong price momentum. Bearish candles to the short side were limited on the daily time frame. They were small in size. They didn't have much body to them, and pretty much after a bearish day, it was usually followed by a bullish day, or subsequently have a lot of wicks to the downside, suggesting that even though the market may have sold down by the bears, the bulls have stepped in and brought the market up. Currently, what's of concern here is we are having a slow move to the downside. So what could potentially happen is we could retrace all the way down to this moving average here, currently sitting the 200 period moving average currently sitting at 1180. Yeah, the 200 period moving average on the daily is currently sitting at 1180. We could get a retracement down there, all the way down to there, or 1160 before we find support. Have a bit of consolidation before a break to test 113.56 or these highs up here at 113.44. If, however, we do see momentum candles, candles of significant size for this particular pair, closing near their lows, a reversal would seem increasingly likely. But these candles do appear indecisive. At the moment, there's quite a bit of wick to them, and they are small in size. So it does appear that the market, in a way, is waiting for a catalyst to give it direction. So that should pretty much US dollar Japanese yen analysis. Before I go, LCS, a like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.